Hi, it's Katrina. Number 10. Fossilized sea monster. A terrifying sea monster was discovered in Antarctica, and it was once one of the most ferocious beasts that ever roamed the seas. Scientists unearthed the fossils of the heaviest elasmosaur ever found on a small and desolate island off the coast of Antarctica. The creature was an aquatic reptile that lived during the Cretaceous period, between 145 and 65 million years ago, while dinosaurs like the T-Rex and the Spinosaurus were busy terrorizing creatures on land. The elasmosaur was devastating animals in the sea. The marine dinosaur resembled a plesiosaur with an incredibly long neck like a giraffe, a huge snake-like head, and four flippers for paddling through the water. It kind of looked like a gigantic manatee mixed with the Loch Ness Monster, with a neck and head like a prehistoric serpent. The elasmosaur discovered in Antarctica weighed an unbelievable 15 tons. The heavyweight dinosaur belongs to the genus Aristonectes, a species of elasmosaur typically found in the southern hemisphere. Unlike other fossilized specimens from the United States, this one can be characterized by a shorter neck and a larger skull. Amazingly, the fossil was found on Seymour Island in 1989, but the researchers had no way of extracting the fossil. It took decades for them to work out how to remove it from the ice. But almost 30 years later, in 2017, they finally found a way to get it off the island. Number 9. Alien UFO. An unidentified flying object has been causing some buzz in Antarctica. According to experts on extraterrestrial visitors to Earth, it's absolute proof that aliens have already found their way to our planet. UFO hunter Scott Waring claims that he uncovered the UFO frozen in the ice on an island in Antarctica. He spotted the alleged spaceship while looking through Google Maps. Scott was scrutinizing a place called Lavoisier Island when he noticed the distinct shape of a flying saucer buried inside a chunk of ice. The craft was shaped like a triangle, with thick edges and a mysterious hump in its middle. It looked very different from the rest of the surrounding ice, with a more solid shape and more obviously artificial features. Even though it's a bit hard to tell because of the blurry satellite images, it does appear to be built of solid metal, while everything near it is clearly ordinary ice. No official scientists or government employees have confirmed the discovery of an alien craft in Antarctica. The only people claiming it to be definitive proof of extraterrestrial life on Earth are conspiracy theorists. But still, the picture is quite convincing. It looks like the snow has already started to melt away from the craft, and in a few more years, the rest of the ice will be gone. Maybe then we can get a better look at the mysterious object and learn what it really is. Number 8. The Crystal City. Richard Byrd was commissioned to organize something called Operation High Jump in 1946. At the time, it was to be the largest expedition to Antarctica conducted by any organization. It was just after World War II, and the United States wanted to install certain fortifications in Antarctica. However, it's not exactly clear what they wanted to build on the continent, whether they were looking into military installations or something similar. But from Richard's journal, we do know that he discovered something extraordinary. There are no official accounts of what Richard allegedly witnessed during Operation High Jump. Everything you're about to hear comes straight from his diary, which was originally hidden by the government and then supposedly uncovered by his son, who leaked the information. Richard had heard of a legendary secret entrance at the South Pole that could lead into the planet's interior. This was supposed to be the gateway to a mysterious world within the Earth, a hidden paradise with its own climate, plant life, and unique creatures. When Richard flew his plane through the portal and into this hidden world, he supposedly saw something shining way off in the distance. It was a city made entirely of glass and hidden underneath the Antarctic ice, inside a warm, humid realm, sort of like the jungle. Nobody else has ever discovered the entrance to this mysterious place, leading many to speculate whether it was real or not. But if the accounts are to be believed, Richard and his team did miraculously find the hidden entrance to the land within the Earth and its shining Crystal City. Number 7. The Hidden World. Scientists from New Zealand were investigating climate-induced ice melt in Antarctica when they discovered the unimaginable. Underneath a vast and thick sheet of Antarctic ice Researchers burrowed into a cavern filled with strange, creepy creatures. They had to dig a hole about 1,500 feet beneath the Ross ice shelf. They then lowered a camera into the hole, and miraculously, it came out in a secret underground cavern. This cathedral-shaped subterranean cave contains swarms of shrimpy creatures like a plague of locusts just waiting to get out. It was the first time in history the underwater ecosystem was found. Before the scientists broke through the ceiling, it had been totally locked underneath the Arctic ice. The discovery was made by a large group of researchers from various universities throughout New Zealand. They were trying to understand what role the ice shelf plays in advancing climate change when they accidentally discovered the cavern of amphipods. These creatures belong to the same family as lobsters, crabs, and even mice. They aren't very big, but they are a big deal. The presence of the tiny amphipods beneath Antarctica proves that even in the most inhospitable places on Earth, life finds a way to thrive. We now know there is an entire ecosystem at work below the ice, where you'd never think any creatures could live. Number 6. Lava Lake. On a sub-Antarctic island, researchers recently discovered the unexpected. In the midst of ice, snow, and freezing temperatures, they uncovered a lake of fiery hot lava. The researchers found it just off the coast of Antarctica in the Southern Ocean, in an extremely remote place. The lava lake is in the South Sandwich Islands, which makes studying the phenomenon a very difficult task. Researchers thought they initially discovered it many years ago when they first identified an active volcano on the island, but thanks to quality satellite pictures, they were recently able to prove there is a lake of lava inside the volcano. Danielle Gray, an expert on volcanoes, said it was tricky for her team of researchers because of its extreme isolation. But what does it mean for there to be a lava lake inside an ice-covered volcano? The truth is, it's extremely rare, and there's only 7 other lava lakes identified in the world. One of them is the famous lava lake inside the Erta Ale volcano in Ethiopia. The newly discovered lava lake in Antarctica is about 600 feet across, with a steady temperature of around 1,832 degrees Fahrenheit. To give you an idea of what we're dealing with, falling into the volcano and landing in the lava lake would be like falling into the sun, or like taking a bath in boiling magma. Number 5. Ancient DNA. Scientists in Antarctica have just discovered DNA from 1 million years ago. They uncovered ancient DNA from underneath the floor of the Scotia Sea, which is in the northern part of Antarctica. It's technically known as Seda DNA because it came from fragments of organic material scooped out of the sediment on the sea floor. According to marine ecologist Linda Armbrecht from the University of Tasmania, this is now officially the oldest authenticated marine Seda DNA to date. Before this discovery, the oldest Seda DNA was taken from terrestrial caves and subarctic permafrost, dating between 400,000 and 650,000 years ago. Finding DNA from 1 million years ago could prove invaluable in learning the true history of Antarctica. Scientists can also hope to better understand how the ocean and the land has changed over the last 10,000 centuries. The DNA was originally extracted in 2019, but it took nearly 3 full years for the sample to go through a process of contamination, control, and analysis. So far, the only thing scientists have managed to learn is that the Scotia Sea, along with other Antarctic waters, were significantly warmer 14,500 years ago. This would have caused a boom in marine life. Then, shortly after, the ocean chilled again, and much of that life most likely died off. Researchers are still studying the sample of Seda DNA to try and paint a clearer picture of the full geological timescale going back to before humans even evolved. Number 4. The Ningen. The Ningen was spotted by Japanese researchers in Antarctica in the early 2000s. Ever since, blurry photographs, questionable video footage, and unbelievable rumors have been circulating about this mystery monster. According to the original report, a government employee on a whale researching vessel witnessed something strange in the water near their boat. The crew initially thought they were dealing with a foreign submarine following them. However, upon further inspection, the object moved closer to the boat, and they realized it was a living creature. It was about 90 feet long, completely white, and unlike anything the researchers had seen before. It wasn't shaped like a whale, but rather like a human. It supposedly had giant hands, tentacles, a tail like a mermaid, and human-shaped arms. What was even weirder is that it had no facial features, no eyes, or even a mouth. It became known as the Ningen. Nobody knows what it is, only that it supposedly haunts the waters around Antarctica. Number 3. Lost in Antarctica. 55 years after his death, Clarence Hare's diary was published for the very first time. He was a proud New Zealander and was the youngest crew member on board the ship Discovery in 1901, when it set off for Antarctica. However, Clarence didn't really have a lot of experience on these type of voyages. He only got the job when he had a chance encounter with Chief Steward Reginald Ford at a grocery store where Clarence happened to be working. He went from store clerk to Antarctic explorer basically overnight. According to Clarence's diary, he was separated from the group during a blizzard after they arrived in Antarctica. It was March of 1902. He'd only been in the frigid wasteland for a couple of months, and Clarence found himself alone. He survived for 46 hours with very little clothing, almost nothing to eat, and only a few sled dogs for company. When he lay down in the snow, the dogs woke him up by licking his face. This ultimately saved his life because he was able to get up and crawl through the snow until he finally found the ship and was rescued. The intense details of Clarence's story can be found in his journal, which was donated to the Alexander Turnbull Library in Wellington in the 1960s. At first, it was only available to read in person, and you had to make a special request. However, it was recently published for the first time and can now be read by anyone. Number 2. The Mystery Signal. Buried in the Antarctic ice is a gigantic neutrino observatory that most people have never heard of. It's named IceCube, and it's busy making discoveries deep in the universe. Most recently, the observatory detected neutrinos being emitted from an active galaxy by the name of NGC 1068. This galaxy is a whopping 47 million light-years away from us. And yet, an advanced piece of equipment in Antarctica is able to pick up neutrinos that the galaxy is flinging away from itself like intergalactic signals. You may be wondering, what exactly is a neutrino? It's a particle that doesn't interact with anything. They were first detected by astronomers and physicists in the 1950s, and we still don't really know what they're used for. They travel across the universe without coming into contact with anything else. But surprisingly, they are very easy to track, and this is why the IceCube Observatory was drilled into the Antarctic ice over a span of 7 years, from 2005 to 2011. It's an enormous scientific station buried nearly 1 mile deep. The observatory has now identified about 80 neutrinos floating through space from the galaxy NGC 1068. Where the neutrinos came from is a bigger mystery, since nobody knows if they come from quasars, blazars, or gamma-ray bursts. We only know that these mystery particles reached our planet over a vast distance, when something happened in a galaxy far, far away. Number 1. Enormous Mystery River. One of the longest rivers in the world has just been discovered underneath the Antarctic ice. The river is longer than the famous Thames in England, spanning nearly 300 miles. It's a winding river system that spans a total area the size of France and Germany combined. It drains this area into the Weddell Sea, and it's doing it right now, under the ice, totally invisible to the naked eye. Scientists only discovered the new Antarctic River because they used ice-penetrating radar technology mounted onto an aircraft. Researchers then completed aerial surveys of the area, scanning everything hidden by Antarctica's thick ice sheets. The discovery of the river came as a big surprise, because just recently, scientists also identified lakes underneath the continent's ice as well. According to glaciologist Martin Siegert from Imperial College London, they thought each lake was isolated from one another, but now that we see this as a river system, scientists are beginning to understand the lakes are most likely connected. There is a vast river network underneath the ice, connecting lakes and draining meltwater into the sea. The biggest revelation of all is just how dangerous this is for humanity. The region drained by the river has the ability to raise total global sea levels by about 14.1 feet. That's enough water to drown the city of New York. Scientists don't know how it will melt or if it will happen all at once or gradually over time. But it's going to happen in the near future. Thanks for watching. What do you think is hiding in Antarctica? Let me know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye!